There's a new Gaahleri airbrush, and this one's made in collaboration with some of the best practitioners in the business. The new Swallowtail is here. I've got one to try right here on Gary's Stuff. Hi, I'm Gary. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back. If you've been here before, today I am testing the new Gaahleri Swallowtail trigger style airbrush. Now, I'll be doing some spray outs on some paper just to show you what the spray patterns look like, but I'll also be trying it out on a real kit to do a bit more of a real world test as well. If you like the show, please do remember, give it the old imperial thumbs up on the like button below because every like counts. And if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell and you'll be notified of all my future content at no extra cost to you. And of course, if you would like to support the channel, you can do that through Super Thanks by becoming a channel member or by using any of my online affiliate programs. Now, I will say that this airbrush was sent to me for free by Gaahleri as a review sample. However, they haven't asked me or told me to say anything in particular. They, like you, just want an honest review of the airbrush, and that's exactly what they, like you, are going to get. Okay, let's make a start by looking what you get inside the box with the Gaahleri Swallowtail airbrush. So here it is, the box of the Ace Series Swallowtail Collaborative Edition with Gaahleri and Studio G. On the side here it says Ace Series, the sizes of the needles, and it's a trigger style airbrush. On the back there's a picture of the airbrush itself, and the fact it's kind of aimed at between middle of extreme detail all the way up to wide. And that's because of the 3 different needles that are included. So let's have a look and see what's inside this really very beautifully presented box. Where it opens up like this. It's very sweet. Now, as on all Gaahleri products, inside the lid is a parts list. So if you ever need to change a part or check a part, or you've lost a part when you've cleaned it and you want to know if you can get another one, you can tell them exactly what the bit is that you're looking for, which is fantastic. It also helps people like me if I'm doing an unboxing or a review to tell you what the different bits are, and it makes me sound like I really know what I'm doing. Inside the box there's also a nice little thing here. Little message from Gaahleri. The interesting thing is that they say if there's a problem with the product, they basically will give you a refund and you don't need to return the product. Any kind of quality concerns, and they'll do that, which I think is really cool. They do say every airbrush gets tested before it leaves the factory, which is fantastic if it's true. I can only assume it is. There is inside a quick guide to how to use the airbrush, different spraying effects, things that might be a problem if it's too thick or too thin, changing the needles, how to get reverse flow when you're cleaning, what to do if there's problems, and how to deep clean them. All of these things we will look at in the video. Back to our box, there's the protective foam cover for transport, and then here are all the pieces. First thing here is a set of spare O-rings and seals. The white ones are Teflon, I believe. There's the airbrush itself, which is a pretty looking thing actually. And we'll have a look at it again in much more detail in a bit. There are spare nozzles and needle guides for 0.7 and 0.5 needles. The needles are stored down here. There are 2 mirror cups. One's 1/3 of a fluid ounce, one is 2/3 of a fluid ounce. And there is a tube of lubricant for some of the parts. Once you've deep cleaned them, it's useful to put some of this like non-oil lubricant on there. and it helps maintain the proper operation of the airbrush. Looking at the airbrush itself, now the first thing you notice is this extra sculpting piece here, designed to give you more relaxed, longer term use. Of course, your fingers, especially your sort of little finger here, it's much more comfortable to slot into your hand. The action of the actual lever here feels very different to the other airbrush, trigger airbrush I have from Gaahleri. This one feels very light to get the airflow going, but a very definite different feel and very definite different spring action. That second spring action is very, very much more prominent, which gives you a lot more control over the actual paint flow going through. That's kind of a nice feel. Obviously there's a cap over the front that's really useful for doing reverse flow for cleaning. There's the needle guard here, and there's the nozzle guard here. The rear, of course, comes off. There's an adjuster stopped here as well, so you don't put too much paint through at any one time. You can set that. The rear piece comes off here, and you can take the needle out. So, as usual, this is the 0.28 needle. It's very, very, it's very fine and very sharp. And here, as you take it out, there is the nozzle in here. It's a drop-in type nozzle, very, very easy to swap out. And the nozzle guard and the needle guard just screw together as well. So let's put that back in. It drops into place, and then as you screw it back on, it self-centers, which is the same with all of this current Gaahleri range. Of course, there's the cup here, reservoir cup here, in two sizes. You know, it just feels so nice, so well made. It feels a little, I'll have to weigh them, it feels a little heavier than the what's it, GHAD, is it GHAD 68, I believe it is. The other one I have with the trigger action. It feels heavier, it feels more substantial, especially up here. This feels definitely more substantial, but it's not in any way really long term heavy to use. It's still quite light to use. I like the little accents of colour matching here as well. It's not a functional thing, okay? Like the black anodizing here and here and here, matching the black of the handle. It's not a functional thing, but it looks nice. If you're going to pay money for a nice airbrush, and this is a good airbrush, you do have to pay for it. You want it to look great as well. I know it's silly. It doesn't mean it's going to brush any better, but maybe just having something that looks cool makes you feel a bit more confident as well. You know, we live in strange times. I think that could be the zeitgeist. Things that look cool, generally speaking, all other things being equal, will work that little bit better for you. Now, the really exciting thing for me as an airbrusher is that the 0.28 needle and nozzle from here will fit in my other ace level brush, the GHAC 98D. Only because I learnt to draw like this with a pen, yeah? And so that's how I am most comfortable doing very fine detail. So I can get the finest detail brush from here, and it will work in here. And these both being ace level brushes have the same mirror finish pots and the same very, very smooth chambering on the inside here. Now, just to be clear, it's not the nozzle guards here, but the nozzles inside themselves that can be swapped over, and of course the needles that go with them. So I'll be trying that as well later on. Starting with the smallest nozzle and needle, the 0.28mm, running at 1.4 bar or around 20 psi with Tamiya XF1 thinned 50/50 with X20 thinner. The lines look okay, atomization looks good, and the flow is pretty good. Maybe it does highlight the lack of reservoir in my air supply a little. It's easy to control the paint volume and spread for mottled markings of different sizes. Larger areas are covered reasonably well too. Taking the air cap off, the flow is fine, but again the effect of the pump is more prominent. Moving to the 0.5mm nozzle and needle, and the paint patches feel a little easier to control, but they are of course noticeably bigger. The flow seems better here, and the atomization is good. Fine coats are easy to control as well if, for example, you've done pre-shading. Again, with the air cap off, you get smaller spots, but these are slightly more difficult to control than with the smaller needle. To the 0.7mm needle now, and into something I'll probably not use, but many airbrush artists may well do. Control is okay, but the atomization looks a bit more grainy at this scale, as I would expect. Larger areas look pretty good to me, and the largest needle is ideal for broad strokes in an almost graffiti-like use. We're just going to do some of this sort of mottled camouflage edging. A lot of these aircraft were painted like this, and then they had mottling put on when the sides and the tail got a bit too noticeable in combat. So I just need to paint on some sort of little dots of mottling on the sides. Let's see how we go. Okay, so I've done the mottling effect with the Swallowtail with the 0.28 needle. It was okay. It was okay. So I'm obviously just need to get used to operating the this trigger at that much sort of fine detail. I'm not quite used to it yet. What I will try, however, is an experiment here. I've got another top level brush, the JHAC 98D. I think the 0.28 in there, in this, with the nozzle and the needle in here, might be even better for me because, you know, I grew up drawing, you know, like this with a pencil. And this is kind of a bit more natural as a pencil for me for these really fine details. So I'm going to swap the needle and nozzle over and see how we get on. So I guess the answer is yes, it does work in the GHAC 98D as well. In fact, it was so good to use and control with this, which is what I'm more used to. Only for that reason, I'm going to keep the 0.28 in here. Put the 0.38 in the Swallowtail for larger areas, larger patterns, and so on. But I'm going to keep this as my detail brush now. But that's the whole point here. The Gaahleri range, it's a range. So parts are interchangeable. This is got to keep, remember, if you're going to have a 0.28 needle, you must have the 0.28 nozzle with it. They're crafted to work together. Don't keep the 0.28 needle in here and then put a 0.38 nozzle on because it isn't going to work as well. Make sure you swap both of. Both will fit. That's the whole point of it being a range, I guess. So I think I found my new favorites. JHAC 98D with the 0.28 in because of the way I learned to draw and to airbrush. And the Swallowtail, I'm going to put the 0.38 needle in for broader area work and for spraying and larger detail areas, only because it fits my hand better for larger area things. There we go then. I like it a lot. I like it an awful lot. The Swallowtail design, this with this sort of extra forward piece, is really comfortable for extended periods. Doing a lot of priming or varnishing or something like that. Doing it for a long old time. That makes life so much nicer to hold. The action here is good. It's a very light action to get the airflow, but then there's quite a different feel, different spring rate, I guess, different spring to the actual paint flow. And that's not actually all that difficult to control. It's surprisingly easy to control for a trigger style brush. And comes with a range of nozzles and needles. The 0.7 I'm not likely to use very much. However, if you're doing big dioramas, you're doing railway backgrounds, or indeed you're in any kind of like illustrative art where you're working on canvases or large pieces of paper or whatever, this is brilliant at 0.7. The coverage is great. Coverage is nice and neat. It's just a bit too big for me. But then this airbrush isn't just designed for me, let's be honest. The 0.5 is much more for me for things like priming and for varnishing. Much better for that sort of thing. The 0.28 is the detail needle on this particular model. It works very nicely for me, but what I do like is the 0.28 from this fits into my GHAC 98D, which is my detail brush of choice, only because of this single finger action here, because I learned to draw holding pens like this. I've always drawn like this. So this is more natural to me for doing very, very fine work. But the needles are interchangeable. So what I can do is put the 0.38 from this into this and the 0.28 from this into this. I've got the best of both worlds. Happy days. And of course, I've got the easy adapters to just plug in and off as I need to. So that makes me a very happy bunny indeed. However, I have heard word of an even finer needle product coming out, a 0.2mm needle product coming out. However, they won't work in these. It's a special product that's coming soon. I'm hoping to grab hold of one. I'll let you know when I've got it and I'll put it through its paces. Okay, so that's all I've got for you today. I hope you like this product. I hope you like the show, and I hope you like the product. If you like the product, there's a link in the information box below where you can get one of these. If you like the show, please remember, give it the old imperial thumbs up on the like button below, because every like counts. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, doesn't cost you anything, and you'll get notified of all my future content as it is released. Thank you so very much for watching today. Hope to see you again soon. Take good care now, and goodbye.